Fraser's to weigh in the morning and then go down for 15 round legs.
So they're not even like fully rehydrated.
Yeah.
We don't do a lot of amateur shows. Same weigh-ins still too, which is crazy. Mine were same day weigh-ins, so I had to. There really wasn't any water because that fight 4 hours later. So everything was dietary. So that's even more. You miss 100 calories in a month straight.
While still trying to do like 2 a day.
I wasn't doing much, but trying to.
You're just hungry all the time, angry.
There was a week straight. Every meal I had was a can of tuna with mustard.
Like a break of college student.
I was in college. I was in college. It was like I haven't eaten tuna since that day.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
PTSD for sure.
Fuck that.
Chicken and rice to your mind every day.
It's like the bodybuilder special.
Did you get to the unsalted? Unsalted chicken. Unsalted eggs is disgusting.
Yeah, dude, that's like,
Chicken's
and I
so
like
bland
seafood.
without
I also, by the
anything.
time I got to myself, I was like, this is like eating fucking pancakes.
Yeah.
So,
I don't even have one. Sure.
It's a small.
yeah.
Raise your voice.
Facts.
They'll pick you up.
Yeah, I don't think you'll hear me. It's too far away. Yeah.
Excuse me, that featherweight is the #1 pound top fighter in the world.
You got one more to expect.
Like, don't make me bend.
Whatever, I mean, he'll
Bend
go.
up. I
You
kind of
like, you like your face too much?
It's
Too
not
pretty?
even that. It's like,
Maybe if you're
I
up
did it
there.
in a fucking Coliseum with McGregor next to me.
It's hard to beat that.
It's like, you're not gonna top it. I'll probably pretty easy. So it's like, maybe I'd like to do maybe another MMA one. Or Misfits boxing. Maybe.
That'd be sick.
I thought Misfits.
They almost pay better than bare knuckle.
They fucking do think that. I'm probably on time.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so funny, dude. And then you see like Connor and Dave and
Wait, he doesn't.
like, we're gonna double everyone's purse. Well, clearly it's like,
No, we're not.
and then I was like, I work for you. Can I got me a little bonus? They charged me $80 to feeling that if they don't knock each other out, it's really competitive.
Yeah.
I find.
And then you get all the fouls.
Yeah, well, that's also the funniest shit. That's funny. When they slap someone to the ground, they're like, point off for you, and then the other guy has to get up, like, he tries to fucking.
And then he celebrates.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. But yeah, when when it's like slap, you just get the sense they might kind of knock each other out. Then it's just like, oh, yeah,
I can probably say I've never watched a voice on that. No. I've seen the highlights,
No,
on
missing
our
much.
social media, but
I
I've
remember
never actually watched it.
they had a test there at the Apex. They didn't even announce it. Brett and I went and they were like, it was the funniest shit I've ever seen. When you're like, gone.
Yeah.
It was like watching someone get slapped, and then they're like foul, and then they have to like try and then the commentary's like, well, we didn't nail that one. It's like, well, he's seeing 3 of them. Like, that's not his fault. They had to come and tell me and him to shut up because they're being no out something. How bad. And I was fucking dying. Then they told me to leave, but other than that, it's great.
So you know you had a good time.
I did, but I had a fucking. That one's good, but yeah, the rest of it is just like how funny. Yeah, he just said.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I was
He
thinking,
should.
I was thinking myself, he's gonna be in the inauguration, probably right next to Paul. He's got Elon on speed dial.
Atlanta's fine.
He's legit one of the top 5 most powerful men in the country.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel I know it's been happening behind the scenes for a while, but I think this is the year that even publicly they start giving Dana as a hunter. I feel like this is the year Dana starts to like not be at every pay-per-view.
You think so?
I hope not.
Bigger fish to fry.
I just like I need this headache to your gym.
I'm probably in it too much because for me that transition.
Oh no, I know, like
Yeah.
that's always the funniest thing to me when Dana's like, oh, I train big right. When Dana's like, oh yeah, I don't know, it's because you have to do it fucking me for 10 years. And occasionally he'll come up and be like, yeah, he'll come and talk all the time. But
No, he's just not in the meeting. I don't know what to tell you.
he comes up, gets his phone, what's up everybody? And then announces a fight. Didn't even do it for Seattle. Yeah, that's not too bad, is it? For the pay he gets to take home?
I'm gonna turn this on just in case they come in. Do you think they'll be coming soon?
I don't know. I have no clue, mate.
Just in case. I'm gonna leave my hair.
We're gonna get started in just 1 second here, boys. Okay.
With
Remember to turn on the mics.
That was one I was
turn it on right now.
Yeah.
What's up, mate? Welcome to the UFC. I mean, it must be a pretty fun feeling. I know you've done the Contender Series, but how does it feel going into your first official UFC fight?
Feels real good. You know, this is what I've been working for my whole entire life, and making my UFC debut here in 3 days, it's a dream come true.
They talk about the UFC jitters, right? No, it feels different when you're in there, but the fact that you're fighting in the Apex again, which you've already done, do you think that gives you some sort of familiarity with the entire experience?
Fighting at the Apex at Contender Series was amazing. I loved everything about it, and I'm excited here again to be fighting at the Apex. You know, I feel like it's going to feel the same exact way.
Do you think people look into that a bit too much, and actually, once you're in a cage punching a dude in the face, a fight's a fight, and it doesn't really matter the environment?
Right, you know, people always ask me like, how's the pressure going and stuff. For me, it's when that cage door is locked, all that stuff goes out the window for me. The lights, all that dims out, and all that I'm focused on is my opponent.
Speaking of your opponent, what do you make of him? He's been matched up against younger guys before, and he's done quite well against them. What do you make of Rodriguez's ability, and what do you think you can bring to the table to beat him?
My opponent's a tough guy, obviously. You know, he has a good amount of UFC experience. He's beat some tough guys, but my pace, my pressure, and my game is going to break him.
Do you think the fact that he's got so much experience in the UFC kind of shows that the UFC matching you up with him this early on shows they have high hopes for you?
Yeah, you know, he has, I think, 6 fights in the UFC now, and this is my debut. Usually people get a little easier matchups for the debut, but I can't tell you how excited I am for this one.
Was it rough not being able to celebrate the holidays as much as you'd like and having a fight in January?
Yeah, definitely. I miss Christmas, miss New Year's, but at the end, it's all worth it. You know, my New Year starts on January 12th.
So you start off the year with a win. How many fights would you like to get in this year?
I like being very active. You know, I'd love to have 4 fights, especially this being in January. It gives me a bunch of time to relax, recover after this fight, and get ready for the next one.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
Awesome. Were you worried, or were you surprised that they matched you up with Christian?
You know, when we got this opponent, I was actually very happy. I remember in the regional scene, this name came up, and it never happened because I'm pretty sure he just got signed. But making my debut against him, I'm actually happy about it.
There's so much. I mean, do you feel the pressure with all of this hype that you have on you? You know, before you were even in the UFC, you had people calling you the best prospect in America. You have to come to the UFC. Now you're here. You still have all this hype. Like, is there any added pressure?
To be honest, not at all. You know, something about me is no matter what the media is saying, no matter how big someone's trying to hype me up, I think the reason I'm undefeated and keep continuing to beat these guys is because I throw all that out the window and I don't think about any of that.
How do you get your hand raised on Saturday?
I see myself finishing him either via TKO or rear naked choke at the end of the second or early third.
Good luck.
Thank you.
You're making your debut, but the odds makers have you as a pretty decent favorite as well. I don't know if you pay attention to that. Why do you think the odds makers have you so high compared to him when he's got all this UFC experience?
Right. If you go look at my regional scene fights, you go see who I fought. I fought nothing but tough guys. Literally since my debut, I was thrown to the wolves, and here I am 13 fights later, 13-0.
And this is the guy, when Raul Rosas Jr. was coming up, he met him, he was undefeated, and he was able to take him out. Do you see any parallels in that where they might be trying to throw you to him as well? And how do you make sure that that doesn't happen?
Yeah, first off, honestly, a lot of people try to compare me to Raul. I'm nothing like him, you know. I feel like my game's completely different. My IQ, my pace, my cardio, everything about me is different than Raul. And, yeah, you know, I just feel like I'm a whole different fighter than him.
And so for the UFC fans that maybe haven't seen you fight, how would you describe your fight style?
I'll describe my fight style as just a crazy, relentless pace, you know. Whether the fight's 15 minutes or 25 minutes, literally from that opening gate bell, I'm sprinting at you, and I won't stop.
And you're starting your first fight really early in January. What are the rest of the goals that you're setting for yourself this year?
My goal by the end of this year is to be ranked in that top 15 and crack that list.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Austin, hey. So again, we already spoke about you're making your debut, but you're making your debut with all this attention. You got the lights on you, the media's asking you questions, you got more media obligations. How are you handling that coming into your debut? And you're not like a 4 or 5 fight bad, you're just your first one.
Right, yeah, I'm just enjoying this all, you know. To me, just extra stuff, but I don't mind it, you know, just part of the game, part of the journey, and I knew this coming in here, so it's nothing really new.
Different than the regional scene, obviously. And so now, like, what's the coolest thing that you've experienced so far? Now you're like, you're officially a UFC fighter.
Right, honestly, it's all the staff over here. They treat you so well. Every single person around me is always trying to see what I need, and I really appreciate them.
All right, best of luck.
Thank you. Thank you.
You can't leave now. circuit or something, you know, to like the way he reads back to like to the question. He's polished, man. Oh, you're blaming the palace for it? Palace like we got a 2 mic max. That's good. You can just hold on to it. I don't need to ask any questions. I'm done. Just sit back there. I don't know. I don't think so. Is it constant? Can you hear it? Like, I mean, but if I mean, can you monitor? Are you able to monitor what you're doing now, or do you have to hit record? Oh yeah, definitely not that. That's what you're getting from your camera. Some ports are a little bit better on that thing than others, but that definitely seems a bit.
On January 12th. So you start off the year with a win. How many fights did you guys get in this year? I like. Okay, I'm going to talk to you. No, not at all. Yeah, I literally got message yesterday. There was this guy I wanted to fight. No, not that one. This one. Geez, that's not ridiculous. I'd like to do this like that.
Yeah, cool.
Ready? Well, I mean, it's an interesting lead up to a fight when you're accused of having spies in the other opponent's gym. I'm curious what your take was when you heard those accusations, and did you manage to settle that issue with Chris?
Интересный подход к бою, когда еще до того, как ты вышла в клетку, тебя обвиняют в том, что ты заслал шпионов. Интересно твои мысли, когда ты услышал об этом, и какие вообще ощущения по этому поводу?
Ну да, я удивился. Обычно такие вещи мне неприемлемы. Но потом мы увиделись в раздевалке. Он сам меня остановил, Крис, и сказал: извини, я обознался, перепутал. В общем, принес свои извинения, даже записал что-то в Инстаграме. Так что проблем нету с этим.
Yeah, you know, I was quite surprised. I mean, these are not the type of things that I'm usually associated with, so I wasn't sure where that was coming from. But, you know, afterwards, I saw Chris in the locker room. We were training, and he came up to me, and he was apologizing. He said, you know what, I was wrong, I was mistaken. You know, he actually even put something out on Instagram since then. So, you know, it's gone now.
Do you just attribute that to the emotions of a fight camp and being sort of working yourself up towards the fight?
Думаешь, что это просто эмоции, он просто на эмоциях что-то вкинул, так сказал, потому что тренировочный лагерь достаточно сложная ситуация, и все вот эти эмоции, которые перехлынули, поэтому он так записал.
Да, я думаю так, что, наверное, подготовка, где-то, может быть, какие-то свои проблемы. Я думаю, да.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what it is. Just the prep, the training, and maybe his own problems, personal problems. So it kind of all boiled over.
Chris has been around for a long time now. Do you see any evolution in his game, or do you think you've watched enough tape on him to know what to expect come fight night and to be able to counter that?
Он уже долгое время сражается в UFC. Как ты думаешь, он продолжает улучшаться, или ты уже достаточно много видел про него и знаешь примерно, чего ожидать в день боя?
Ну да, он дрался со многими соперниками. Работает, я посмотрел, плюс-минус одно и то же, всегда в стойке, особо не борется. Я думаю, что покажем отличный бой, так как мы два ударника. Интересно будет.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of tape on him, and it seems as though he's usually pretty much in the same, he's got the same plan. He usually works out of a standing up, and he's fighting out of his stance. He's a good striker, and I think that it'll be a pretty fun fight. He doesn't really wrestle. I don't really wrestle. We're two strikers, and we're expecting to show a pretty good fight.
Is one of the benefits of fighting on the first event of the year that you get to really put a flag down in what you want to achieve in 2025?
Как ты думаешь, бенефиты того, что ты сражаешься именно на первом событии года, это как бы заявление о себе, ты ставишь свой флаг и говоришь, в этом году я сделаю вот так, да?
Да, это наша цель.
Yes, that's exactly our goal.
And if you get this, since you're fighting so early, what is the perfect number of fights for you in a year that you'd get time to recover, train, prepare? What's the perfect number of fights for you?
И поскольку это самое первое событие, совсем недавно был Новый год, для тебя какое лучше всего количество боев в год? Сколько бы ты хотел в этом году провести боев?
3-4 боя, дай бог.
3-4 fights with God's help.
On the card, are you one of these fighters that where you're placed on the card matters? Because your last fight, you won, Cesar Almeida, they're actually fighting higher up on the card. Was that confusing to you? And does that sort of thing bother you that the guy that you beat is actually fighting higher up on the card than you are?
Для тебя имеет значение, каким номером в карде ты дерешься, да? Потому что твой соперник, которого ты в прошлый раз победил, дерется выше, чем ты в карде, а ты до него дерешься. Для тебя вообще имеет какое-то значение, где, в какое время на карде ты дерешься?
Да, если честно, особо нет. Ну, если это не главный бой вечера, то, в принципе, без разницы.
To be honest, not so much, but as long as he doesn't get the main fight of the night, then I'm cool.
Yeah. And what does a win over Chris Curtis do for you in the division, do you think?
Победа над Кертисом, что для тебя сделает в этом дивизионе?
Ну, так как я и говорил, что он дрался со многими ребятами опытными, да, это в первую очередь проверить свои силы, навыки, и каждая победа приближает к топам.
As I said before, he's fought a who's who of the division. He's got great skills. So first of all, it's just to test my own skills against somebody who's so durable and so good. And then, every victory counts, and every victory gets you closer to the top.
And what are your keys to the victory? What needs to happen to make sure that you get your arm raised on Saturday?
Какие у тебя ключи к победе? Что ты должен сделать для того, чтобы твою руку подняли в субботу?
Да, мы все будем делать, и бить, и бороться. А там, как говорится, что получится, готовы ко всему.
We'll do it all. We'll strike, we'll grapple, we'll wrestle, we'll do it all. And then whatever works out, that works. We'll do whatever we can to get to the victory.
Sam, you need to turn them on and off every time, right? Or are you killing it?
Ideally, yeah.
Okay, just for battery?
Just for battery.
Gotcha. He burned through something like bullshit questions. I was like, I don't have anything really. That was yeah, he was quick to give that one off. He was like a baton. Haters to the wind.
Haters, pressures? Lots of haters, but I don't feel good about eating from these fighters.
Carlston, Happy New Year.
Hi, Happy New Year, Sam.
It's been several months since you fought last. You last fought in May, obviously. Why the long layoff?
Yeah, I fought last May, but I mean, I don't know myself, man. I wanted to fight more, but I mean, I don't know.
Were you disappointed that you only fought once last year?
I mean, as a fighter, you have to be more active, man. I mean, the bills to pay, so one fight a year, you know, it's not good.
What were the lessons that you took away from your last fight?
Oh, so I mean, there's like each fight. I mean, each fight you learn a new lesson. So I mean, my last fight, I mean, I was good until I got the KO, right? So yeah, so my last lesson. So I have to be more patient, you know, and don't try to rush things.
When they offer you the name Santiago Ponzinibbio, what was your reaction?
Well, I mean, I never refuse a fight. So, I mean, for me, it's just another working day, man. It don't matter who they offer me. I will always accept. If I'm not injured, I mean, I will always accept a challenge, any challenge.
Were you excited to fight someone like Santiago, just given his history in the promotion?
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to fight Santiago because, I mean, he's a big name. He's a veteran of the game. I mean, experienced fighter. So, yeah, man, he's a good name.
On paper, it's a very fun fight between you two. Is that kind of what you're expecting, a kind of a just exciting, fun fight for the fans?
Yeah, man. I mean, when you step in the cage, I mean, you have to give the fan what they want to see, man. And, I mean, Santiago, he have a very aggressive style like myself. So, I mean, it's good. It's a good matchup for the fans, then.
How do you see your hand getting raised on Saturday?
Well, I mean, I go in for the finish. So, it don't matter how, if it's on the ground or standing up. But, I mean, when I step in the cage, I go to finish the fight because I don't like to leave it in the judge, to decide.
Yeah. And finally, for me, what would you like your year to look like? Are you looking? Obviously, you're looking to get more than one fight than you did last year. But any other goals that you're setting for yourself?
Yeah, well, starting from now, I'm looking forward to get a win on Saturday night, and at least to do like 4 fights a year, man, because, I mean, I still, want to make a run for the title, so, yeah.
Good luck.
All right, thank you.
Just one for me. Was the inactivity, was it just health issues, or were they offering you fights as well, or were they not offering you fights, or was it just a matter of not maybe being healthy enough to fight?
I mean, I think sometimes there's opponent that don't accept fights. That's the whole issue. And I think it's that because I don't have a health issue at all. So, yeah, I'm healthy all the time, man.
But I was going to say, how are you feeling right now coming into this year and into this fight week?
Yeah, I feel great, man. I feel great. Weight on point, everything on point, man. I feel great. So just ready to show, my skills on Saturday night.
And I believe he's coming in with a couple of losses. Do you think he's going to feel any extra pressure? And do you think he's going to fight maybe a different way coming into this fight? Or are you still expecting the most dangerous Santiago that there is?
Well, I mean, I'm expecting the best Santiago ever, I mean, his loss, but you have to look at the name that he fought, right? So, I mean, it don't mean nothing, man. He's still dangerous.
And with a win, is a win just enough? Or do you want to get a great finish, something that's highlight worthy, or is just a win enough to get started for this year?
Well, for started off, man, I mean, we're looking forward for a great finish, because, I mean, we need a bonus. But, I mean, if you get it just a win too, it's good. Yeah, but, I mean, I'm going for the finish. It don't matter how.
Awesome. Best of luck on Saturday.
Yeah, thank you.
Carlston, just one quick one for you. I received your black belt in December. What was that like?
Yeah, black belt grade after like 11 years of hard training, so black belt in jiu-jitsu. But I'm also black belt in luta libre too, man. Yeah, so it's great, yeah.
Any pressure to maybe finish this weekend by submission?
No pressure because, I mean, I compare, I always go for the finish, submission. Yeah, man, no pressure on me. It's just normal, it's a normal fight,
All right, best of luck.
Oh, thank you. Okay.
Hello, hello. Hi, hi, hi.
Amanda, just first of all, before we start talking about fighting, how painful was it that you weren't able to celebrate Christmas and New Year's like the rest of us?
Do you know what? For me, it was a normal day. We treat it as a normal day because my friends at my team, we all have fights. So for us, it was normal day, and we are scheduling to do some dinner when I come there, and we will eat a lot.
Is it almost good to be able to start off the year with a fight because it sets the tone for the rest of the year and you can maybe get 2-3 more fights in the rest of this year?
Yes, that's true. And when UFC said to me that they rescheduled the fight for the beginning to be the first event of the year and to be a main event, I was like, yes, was awesome.
You've been away from fighting for a little bit longer than we're used to. How important for you was that break? And because you've had that break, how excited are you to compete again in a couple of days?
Yeah, that was a strategy of my team because I was getting a lot of fights, and this was good for me recover my body and for recover that feeling. You know, I missed to fight. I love fights. So when my last fight was in March, so I think 10 months without fight, and I was like, oh my goodness, I need to fight. So I think this point get me more dangerous.
Do you feel the difference in having not fought for a while? Do you feel more energetic and more excited?
Yes, for sure. I'm not just hungry outside the cage as now, but I'm hungry. I will be hungry inside the cage too.
Obviously, you and Mackenzie have fought before. Do you remember that first fight well? What was the thing that you took from that first fight the most? And what are you expecting for her to change on Saturday?
That fight was my second fight on the UFC, and I know now I am more experienced as athlete, as a person too, and I know she is more experienced too. I know she's training more boxing, and that will be awesome, not just for us, because I know this fight is really important, because we both won against Verna, and she's number 3. So this fight, how huge is important this fight, because I think if I win, if God bless me with the win, I can go to the top.
Do you think because you and Mackenzie are two of the more popular people in this division that the rankings don't really matter? You know, if you win over each other, you could go right to the top and maybe even get a title shot right away if you win.
Yeah, I believe on that because I'm coming from 2 wins in strawweight division, and as I said, we both fight against Verna, and she is number 3. Maybe if I win with a good win, I can go to be stepped by on the belt, or maybe fight against Verna again.
How excited are you to see, you mentioned that it was your second fight against Mackenzie in the UFC. How excited are you to see how much you've grown as a fighter and see the differences between you now and then when you get to watch the fight back?
When UFC said to me, okay, let's do this fight again, we start to watch all her fights and my fights too, and it's so good, you know, because I was trying to remember what I was thinking in that time and how much I grew up, how much things I realized since there. And the last year was my first time that I see my face on the poster, and till yesterday I saw my face there again, and that put, okay, let's go, it's your time.
Good luck.
Thank you, appreciate it.
It's your second straight main event. How excited are you? You know, are you kind of expecting main events going forward, or is it just kind of whatever comes your way?
I'm really excited, not really, because it's dreams come true. I think all fighters want to see your face there, and I saw last year. This year, I will start the year seeing this, so I'm really excited.
What were the lessons that you took away from your last fight against Rose?
I took a lot of lessons. one of that was I did with my team to recovery. I need to feel my body. Sometimes, me as athlete, I just think with my heart, like okay, let's go. But sometimes I need to think with the brain, like, you did 3 fights in less than 1 year. So recovery, not just the body, but the technically, let's get better. And I learned that I need to coaches and my brain too.
And even though you lost that fight, did you build confidence knowing that it was a close fight against one of the best girls in the world?
Yes, thank you. That's awesome, amazing to feel that, to watch my fight again, and see how I improve myself. Cause my original is jiu-jitsu and judo, and I did striking with Rose Namayunas, and I saw I get better on that. And for this fight, I training a lot my striking, and I didn't forget my judo and my jiu-jitsu, because I know this is really important.
And is the plan to keep going back up, go up to flyweight, strawweight, or is it just kind of whatever makes sense for you?
I know now I am closer than ever to the belt, so my focus is on strawweight. There is a fight that I said at the end of the fight, I said, okay, strawweight division, I'm back, but there is a but. If UFC is still offering me really good fights as they did, because I just fought with really good fighters as Macy Barber, Paige Viviane, Caitlin Chukaja. So I will say, okay.
And then finally for me, can we get a prediction for Weili Zhang versus Tatiana Suarez? They're fighting for the title next month. I just wanted your thoughts on the fight and who will win.
Yes, this fight I really want to watch, and I think Tatiana will win because she is taller, she is longer, she knows how to do her distance, and for me, if Weili come too closer, Tatiana will grab and take downs. So she will, if she can control the distance, striking okay, but if Weili start to grab and take it down.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
If we do see the belt change, do you think that Weili deserves a rematch, or would you like to see somebody else get that nod first, should the belt change hands?
I think to move the category, Weili Zhang, if she wins, I'm here. Don't rematch steadily. No, there is other girls.
Well, speaking of that, you mentioned, Verna's name got mentioned. You know, I feel like she's been waiting around for a while. If she was, do you feel that she's deserving to get the winner of that match, or do you rather see that this fight with you and Mackenzie is a contender bout?
I think she needs to wait this fight because we both deserve that too.
Awesome. Keys to the victory. What needs to happen to make sure that you get your arm raised on Saturday? What really needs to work for you out there?
I need to do what I do inside my gym. I need to do what I do inside my gym, inside the cage too. If I can do that, my arms will go to the top.
Best of luck on Saturday.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Just one over here, Amanda. I had a chance to speak to your opponent yesterday, and when I asked her about her path to victory in this fight, she said that she didn't really, watching your last few fights, she felt that she's improved more significantly than you, and you just talked about your striking. Is that something that you're excited to show in this bout, that you've improved in that area of your game?
You know, I am MMA fighter, so I trained a lot Muay Thai, a lot Jiu-Jitsu, a lot Judo, and a lot techniques of Vale Tudo too, because my coach, my dad, was a Vale Tudo fighter. So I'm prepared to do a MMA fight. If I will do more striking, okay, I'm prepared. If I do more Judo takedowns, I'm prepared. I'm prepared to do MMA.
How do you think she's improved since, what area of her fighting game has improved since the last time you two met, do you think?
I was watching her fights, and I know she's better and boxing. I know she's training a lot there, distance and everything. So because of that, I know the fans or everyone can expect a really good fight and maybe some bonus for this fight because I know she likes to fight as me, so it'll be awesome.
Thank you. Good luck.
Oh, you're welcome.
Amanda over here, real quick. So you missed out on some big matchups actually in the last 3 years or so. You know, missed out on a Michelle Waterson fights because of injury, the Angela Hill fights because of COVID, and then the Tracy Cortez fight, which is, you know, it never even, you know, came to fruition. So is it frustrating not to get those fights?
But I didn't understand the last question.
Is it frustrating to like keep missing those out, missing out on those?
Yes, it is frustrating when we miss a fight, but I'm blessed, really. There is some things that happen in my life that is just from him, and I know he has a plan for my life. If the fight didn't happen, it's because there is a plan. So at the beginning, I didn't understand too much, but I trust.
And you were just talking about, you know, using your head more than your, you know, than your feeling when you're in there. Is there any part of you that maybe wants to get in there and be like, hey, stand right here and let's throw?
I'm sorry, my English is not that good.
It's okay. So you were talking about, you know, using your brain more in a fight instead of just, you know, using your feeling, you know, and throwing hard. But is there any part of you that maybe thinks, okay, maybe if it gets to a point during the fight, I'm just going to point down and see if she stands in front of me, kind of like Max Holloway and all that?
This part is really hard for me when I just think with the brain, the heart. But I was training that with my dad to listen him, to listen the coaches, because sometimes I'm too emotional, as I said, and this is not too good. Sometimes it's good because when you're tired, okay, let's go. But when you're not tired and you just don't listen, this don't make sense. So we are training that a lot.
All right, thanks so much. Best of luck.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Oh, eu posso tirar só uma fotinha aqui? Tira pra mim, por favor. Obrigada.
What's up, man? It feels like they love throwing you against young guys coming into the UFC and trying to make a name off you. Do you feel that way too?
No, I don't think so. I think the UFC has always liked the way I fight, so I think it's like a win-win for the UFC. You know, it's like they build me up or they build him up. So it's yeah, I like it.
Do you feel like your experience is going to be a big difference maker here, right? He's making his debut. You come in here, you've done this a few times now. Do you think that already gives you a mental edge before the fight even starts?
Yeah, experience is definitely something you can't buy, or you have to literally experience it, you know? I even witnessed that myself in my last fight, you know? It's experience. Experience matters a lot in this game.
Give me an insight into what experience can mean, right? So, for example, what's one of the biggest lessons you've learned in a fight during your UFC career that now every time you go into another fight, you're like, oh, I remember this happened in that one. I'll learn from that.
Yeah, so like looking back at my last fight also, Erosa, he's a veteran of the game, you know? It's like you can't make a single mistake in that game. It's like you can be winning the fight, but if you make one single mistake and let's say you take a little mental rest in the game, it's a punishment for it. And that's what I learned. I learned how to be dialed in for 15 minutes straight no matter what. And I think when you're so new in this game, when you're new and it's always been one-sided, you're always willing to take a risk. And sometimes you can't take a risk.
You kind of expecting that from Austin then on Saturday, that he's going to come out there swinging. It's the UFC debut, right? That he might take some risks that you can see and take advantage of.
Yeah, I definitely see that. He's young in his game, so I feel like it'll be kind of chaotic for a bit, but I just have to stay composed and do my thing.
Good luck.
Thank you.
What was the biggest lesson that you took in your last fight?
It's something I've been kind of doing now too. Is after the last fight, I've been doing more film work. That's something I didn't really do much before. Like perfect example for my contenders fight, I probably watched 2 minutes of my opponent, and I was like, all right, I got this, you know? One thing I know that I'm good at myself is I know how to figure people out in the moment. But, I mean, the more knowledge you get off people's fights, it's like the easier it is. So yeah, more film work and more being present in the moment.
What's the process of watching film on your opponent? Do you go back and like watch their last 3 fights or just their last fight? Like, what's your process?
Yeah, I always like the way to see how they move, what they like doing, stuff like that. The way I see it is maybe it's not for everybody, but you should always be improving after your last fight, you know? It's like you should be a whole different person after your last fight. If you carry on the same skill set and the same game plan for every single fight, someone's going to figure you out.
What's up with the hair? Are you doing like a Charles Oliveira kind of bleach, or or is this the C-Rod bleach?
Nah, it's the C-Rod bleach, yeah.
What's the possibility of you going back down to bantamweight, or are you kind of thinking that featherweight is going to be your permanent home?
Yeah, featherweight's my permanent home. I like how I feel for featherweight, and that's my home for now.
How much weight were you cutting to get down to bantamweight?
I usually, even after the times I've made bantamweight, after rehydrating up, I'd get up to like 65, 66, and that's like fight day, you know? So, yeah, good 30 pounds. And I'm already kind of lean, too, so... And I'm only getting older, too, so I'm going to fill out naturally. I can get stronger.
Gotcha. Good luck, man.
Thank you.
When you're given the name Bashi, were you able, since you like to do the film thing, were you able to watch anything on him? Was it just going back and looking at the Contender series, or were you able to see any of his stuff beforehand? And did you know anything about this guy when you got the name?
Yeah, when I heard Bashi, honestly, I had no idea who he was. Yeah, I had no idea who he was. He's been saying that we were supposed to fight in the local scene, I think. Yeah, I had no idea who he was. I know he's supposed to fight at my manager's promotion, but I think he declined like 7 or 8 fights. But yeah, after seeing his last couple fights, he's tough kid, but he's very, very one-dimensional, you know.
And when you have something like that where you don't see a lot of fight tape, now that it's becoming more of a big part of your training, do you just then revert back to focus on yourself? You know, what initial things that maybe you need to work on from the last fight?
Yeah, I always see my last fight or the last fights before that. I'm like, how can I beat myself? So that's where I get the improvement from.
And I believe we asked him, if he was going to feel those UFC jitters, and it didn't seem like he was bothered by the pressure. You've been there. You've been through the UFC debut. If a fighter comes in and says, no, I'm not going to feel any pressure, is there truth to that? Or do you think that no matter what he said, he's going to feel something when it comes fight night?
Nah, I feel everybody gets jitters. Everyone feels the pressure. I mean, we're in the UFC, It's like even the top level guys, they always get nervous. They always feel the pressure, For someone to say they don't feel anything, it's kind of, it's kind of weird, but to each their own,
Yeah. And how much of a factor? You've got almost 3 years of UFC experience now under your belt. Here's a guy that's coming in on his debut. How much is that experience and being the ups and downs, but being in such a pressure cauldron, how is that going to affect you when you go in, and how is that going to be better for you as opposed to him?
Yeah, this experience is going to matter a lot, I think it's going to play a big role. But, yeah, you guys will see on Saturday.
And are you the kind of guy that checks the odds? For some reason, you're the guy that has the experience, but he's coming in as a favorite. Do you pay attention to that stuff, or does that bother you, or do you think like the odds makers don't know what they're talking about and you want to, put it back in their face?
I look at it, but I never put too much attention to it. Like, it doesn't bother me. I don't even know who's in charge of the odds.
Yeah.
Who is in charge of the odds? Is that
each? There's a few different bookies at the major organizations, and then they put the odds out, and then usually money then influences it or something.
Yeah, I have no idea. It's like, yeah, I don't really care about that kind of stuff.
Would there be any extra pleasure taking the that zero from a fighter when they come in undefeated? Is there any extra pleasure in that?
Honestly, like before, when I first started I didn't really care, but now I like it, because I look at my record and I see those 2 losses and I'm like, fuck, I'm like, that sucks. But yeah, it feels good, and it's like the UFC has never given me an easy matchup. I've always fought tough people. Even on my first UFC fight, I fought JSP. So it's like, I like these prospects.
And it's funny, we often hear from the vets that are like, oh, we want the easy fights, But do you like it, the fact that the UFC is constantly challenging you? And it's the UFC, everybody's going to be tough, but do you like the fact that the UFC is giving you tough matchups for everyone?
No, I do. It definitely puts more fire in me. It's like, it helps me build my career up, It's like, we don't look at my record and be like, Christian Rodriguez fought this nobody, It's like all these guys I fought, they're still in the UFC. They have big names for themselves, so it definitely feels good.
And what do you think a win over Bashi will do for you in the division?
I think it puts me back up there. It puts my name a little higher. It does bring more attention to my name just because there's a lot of eyes in this fight too, It's not like I'm on the prelims fighting some random person, so win against him means a lot.
And it's got to be exciting. You're fighting on the first event of the year. It sets the precedent that you might get a lot of fights this year. So what are your goals for 2025?
Yeah, I want to stay active this year. I want to fight at least 3 to 4 times this year. I'd love to fight another pay-per-view. Last time I fought on a pay-per-view, that was insane.
Yeah.
It's like, it's a whole different experience. But I definitely love fighting in these stadium events.
And last for me, your keys to the victory. What needs to happen to make sure that you get your arm raised on Saturday?
I need to have fun. I need to be myself.
Is the having fun version of you a very dangerous version?
Yeah, a happy fighter's a dangerous fighter.
Dig it. Best of luck.
Thank you.
Hello.
I think that might be the biggest service dog I've ever seen. I'm curious why you felt the need to bring your security with you today.
Yeah, he's like security and emotional, emotional support. He helps me a lot just being comfortable. I'm kind of trying to stay as calm as I can, and I think what I'm most needing in my fights is composure and to kind of just go into the Apex one more time and feel like it's a training session. He goes to the gym with me and everything like that. Mo is going to be here on Friday. So it's kind of the best way to just keep me, relaxed and not getting all my nerves, up too high.
So it's more about keeping things familiar, right? Keeping the things of fight week the same as they are in the gym.
Exactly.
Will he be at the Apex?
Maybe.
Okay, cool. Obviously, you fought Amanda before. That fight was a while ago. When you look back on that fight, I'm sure you've rewatched it. What was the biggest thing you were able to take from it and plan to do something different in this rematch?
I feel like I was such a different person back then. It didn't even feel like it was me, So, of course, some of my overhand rights that I kind of throw out there, I still have some of those. The heart's still there, but I feel like I'm a totally different person. And it was 3 rounds. I think we're at totally different phases of our career. I've evolved in striking and wrestling and takedowns and just so much experience. Going back, I fought like Jessica, Amanda Lemus, all these girls that punch like harder than Amanda. Obviously, if any punch lands on the right spot, it can still knock out and everything like that. But it's a different type of confidence, me going into this fight now, 5 years later, than like 4 months after my daughter was born and taking a little while off.
Was it a bit frustrating not to be able to celebrate Christmas properly, or were you just happy to get the year started off with a bang?
No, I was happy to start off the year. Almost the fight didn't happen, so it was December 14th, and then they pushed it out to January 11th, so I feel like me and Amanda will set the pace for the rest of the year. I know, like, next week is 3/11, so hopefully we can have fight of the night and kind of set the pace for the rest of the year.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
Hey, Mackenzie, do you regret taking the first fight because it was 4 months after the birth of your daughter?
A little bit, yeah. I think I'd still would have like losses in my career, and I'm still happy to where I'm at today. I think that's what made me be who I am today. So I can't like say like totally regret. But for me, I think if I could go back again, I would wait a little bit longer. I think that there's so many things that, like, a loss in jiu-jitsu for us, it's totally normal. You can lose like 10 times. It doesn't like ruin if you're a better fighter or not. And nowadays I understand how like just 2 consecutive wins, you can be like in line for a title, So that's the goal, to be a champion. And that kind of, maybe if I would have kept like undefeated, like Tatiana Suarez, I think she's only has like 10 fights, but they're all all wins. So all those little things make a difference, and also too, like, kind of getting that respect of your opponents. They know that you haven't lost to someone, and they don't kind of see any openings and stuff like that. So I feel like my career took a different turn with that, my decision to kind of like, oh, it's okay, I know my chances to win or to lose are a little bit higher. I believe I even when I go back, I saw the fight, I thought I did pretty good, for everything that I had gone through, and how Amanda was like really on a roll at that time. But yeah, I think, if I would have just like, I was scared of the ring rust, at that time. And I wasn't even like a real MMA fighter. I didn't even know what the ring rust was, but I had in jiu-jitsu lots of injuries. I said like, no, I don't want to be like longer out. I was already like 1 year out, basically. The fans saying I'll never come back. My last fight, I had just missed weight, in Brazil. So I was like on a roll. I wanted to show that just because I had a baby, I'll be back in and everything like that. So, and I thought I was good at the time. I didn't realize 5 years how much better I could get. So yeah, definitely if I could, I wish I would have had the composure to think like, no, take it slower, take a little bit more time, 4 months is fast.
Yeah, absolutely. With all that being said, like, is there extra motivation because that was your first loss and she was the first person to beat you? Like, are you going in with any extra motivation?
No, nothing against Amanda. I think maybe if she would have stayed in the strawweight division, when it happened, I was like, oh, maybe we'll meet each other, like when we fight for the belt, you know. But then our careers kind of went totally different directions. You know, she's kind of straw in featherweight. You know, she's kind of stamped herself as a great UFC fighter in general, you know, and I've been kind of more just focused on like breaking the top 5 and trying to get to the belt of strawweight division and just kind of get better me. So my biggest motivation is to use my fight with her as a base. I think the fans and media and just even myself we'll be able to see a big difference, you know. And I think from one fight to the next, you know, we have a lot of critics. We have, oh, she didn't do this, she didn't do that, or she got better, but you see it just a little bit, you know. But when you see a difference of 5 years and something to base that on, and which is against her, you know, I think we'll be able to I think fans will be shocked, and I think I'll get the win on Saturday.
One of the big narratives going into that first fight was who had the better jiu-jitsu, who had the better grappling. Do you think this fight's going to be a little bit similar? I know that you said, you know, you guys are two completely different fighters in two different parts of your lives, but is that still like who has the better grappling?
Oh, I think I have the better grappling for sure. You know, I don't think she would want to. I mean, I think maybe she could try to like stall the fight, you know, on top. You know, maybe get a ground and pound and get the round. But I can imagine like why someone would want to, especially with striking. I think she has good striking, you know, and she has a good reach. I wouldn't imagine why she would want to risk going to the ground with me and giving me a chance to win when I think her chances of winning were all more from standing up and keeping the distance, you know. I think it's kind of clear my difficulties have been like with Marina and Yan Xiaonan or Amanda Lemus, who move a lot, closing that distance. So I can imagine her wanting to stay to the ground, go to the ground and want to exchange with me on the ground, you know. It just would be an unnecessary risk, you know. But for sure, I want to take her to the ground. That's not a secret.
Are you bummed that this fight's not taken next week in Los Angeles?
No, I'm excited, you know, because I'm wanting to set the pace for the year, you know, like I said, and Los Angeles is like I'm Huntington, you know, so hopefully if I'm not injured, I can be there watching live, you know. I would like to watch the fights.
And then finally for me, CJI, can you just talk about your experience with that, and are you looking to go back and do it again?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, CJI was a great experience, you know, with the pit. You know, it's different. I was like, oh yeah, I fight in the cage. It's very similar. You know, when I went to the pit, it was like the wrong angles, you know, everything completely. And I had just fought Lupita, like maybe I think it was 12 days before. So it was for me just to get back in there too. Kind of like when I fought Amanda the first time, you know, I came back in. But it was a great experience. I think they're doing a lot of entertainment for the jiu-jitsu industry. You know, we've been so much sport, but you know, UFC now, Dana announced the jiu-jitsu organization too that he's doing. So definitely maybe I can get a side contract in getting into that too within my UFC fights.
You talk about that growth since the first match up to now. I think when we thought that fight, everybody was thinking like, oh, we can't wait to see the ground game. You've become so much more of a striker since that point. You know, when you think of your striking now and then you look back upon those days, how does it feel when you look at what you used to look like to how good you are now?
Man, I mean, even though I know I still have so much to grow and get better and everything like that, I think like, I mean, I'm proud. I think I had a lot of heart, you know what I mean? And I think I was like game and just like trying to throw in there, but man, I'm like, how did I fight like that, you know? You know what I mean? But it's a jiu-jitsu girl trying to throw down with like these girls that are way more experienced in striking and MMA fights, you know. I think I passed Amanda like in our record, on the records, with our fights in the UFC, you know. So I think when we fought each other, she had a couple more fights than me in MMA. And then in the UFC, I gained a little bit more. I have more fights now, you know. It's not that many, but so I kind of was gaining my experience in the UFC, you know. And she was already a little bit more experienced with MMA, and I was coming just pretty raw, you know. I had Amanda Cooper, Ashley Yoder, and then Amanda Ribas, like coming really, really strong, you know. So I was just throwing down. I really didn't know what I was doing. Today, I feel like so proud that I can kind of see things. Not that I feel like a striker, but I'm understanding like, oh, you know, it's okay, you know, you can get punched. It's a fight, you know. I kind of would have this thing where if I get punched, I go like red, you know, like alarm, and then you just want like no distance, you know. You just want to hug, grab the person, and you don't care how, if it looks good or not. You just want to grab them, and now it's okay. I don't get that alarm feeling, you know.
And we often, you know, we've seen in the past where, like, say, wrestlers that are so good at wrestling, they start striking, then they fall in love with their hands. You have great jiu-jitsu, and now your hands have really shown up. How do you keep the balance to make sure that you stay true to what initially got you to the UFC?
Yeah, I mean, I think my goal to be the champion is what's keeping me to always look for the submission and the takedowns. I've been training so much. I mean, I know my hands showed up more a little bit in my last fight, but I've been training so much my wrestling with Paul Herrera in Huntington Beach, my wrestling so much. So I used to hate wrestling. I just kind of do my judo takedowns when we got in the clinch. Now I feel, even with Lupita, she's a boxer wrestler, you know, and I felt like proud I was able to get takedowns and mix my striking with my takedowns. But I mean, I think anyone who has a camp against me, they're gonna train so much takedown defense and moving. And Amanda Lemos, I felt like I did a clean double leg takedown on her in the first, you know. So I see my little improvements, you know. Like never I do a good wrestling takedown, and lately I've been able to get it, you know. Even though I controlled, maybe I forgot to do more ground and pound, you know. Obviously, I didn't know in the second round I'd get beat up like that, so I'd have this damage thing coming, you know what I mean? But that's all just experience and thinking in the long run by the end of the fight, if I don't get the submission, how I make sure I still win the fight by judge's decision or whatever it is, you know? So just trying to it's a lot of thoughts to be prepared for, but yeah, I think my goal to be the champion, and I don't know, now Tatiana's gonna fight Zhang Weili. I'm hoping Tatiana wins because I hope Tatiana wins because I would like to fight Tatiana. I think that'd be a good matchup. But yeah, I think Amanda Ribas wants to fight her too, you know. So we're both kind of like standing each other's way for the next step.
And if Tatiana does get the win, do you think that the UFC might give Zhang Weili a rematch, or are you hoping that the UFC pushes on at that point and lets new people either like yourself go for it?
I think it all depends how it goes, you know. If it's a close match, I think maybe they'll give her a rematch, you know, or maybe if it's like a quick knockout like Rose was with her, you know, like in the first minute or something, maybe they'll give her a rematch. But I think if it's kind of like total dominance, you know, how Zhang Weili did with Amanda Lemos or some of the other girls, you know, Yan, I think, then I think not.
Do you see this fight as being the contender fight to see who gets that? I know a lot of people are saying that Verna's been waiting and Verna's possibly next in line. But do you see that this bout, if you guys go out there and have just a barn burner, that this could be the fight that maybe leapfrogs to the next shot?
I don't think so. I think we both would have a couple more, 1 or 2 more fights to. I mean, maybe they would throw us in. We both have like a lot of followers, you know. We both are like kind of the same vibes, you know, but just to kind of get something new in there maybe. But I don't, in my opinion, I don't think either me or Amanda, we would be ready after this fight to fight for the belt, the next one, you know. I think maybe we'd have to do a couple more fights.
Yeah. And speaking of the experience and all this growth and change since 2019, this is like, I believe, your 4th headline event here for the UFC. Has it gotten easier, you know, dealing with the media obligations, the fight week pressure, being the face on the poster? Has it gotten a lot easier for you?
Yeah, it's getting easier. It's getting like, I'm like, man, I wonder how it'll be one day if I do get like a main event, like someplace else, you know. I'm doing 4 main events at Apex, you know, so, but I can't complain. It's, like I said, it kind of feels comfortable to me now, and it's close to home. So my daughter, my dog, you know, it's a small arena. I have a lot of fans. I have a lot of support that come out to Vegas, you know, to support me. So I'm really liking it. And it's funny now that I have like, it's my 4th poster, and now I'm kind of even getting like picky. Like that's the picture they picked, you know, and now I'm starting to get like a little bit that girl side of me, you know, like they could have had a more flattering picture, you know, and stuff like that. So it's cool. It's such a pleasure. And yeah, I'm 2 losses and 1 win on my main event. So we got to pass that. We got to change that up.
Yeah, not many people can say they had the private Mark Zuckerberg fight.
Yes, that was a crazy experience. It was more quieter than like with the COVID times, you know. Yeah. So it was crazy.
Just goals for 2025. What are you hoping to happen this year?
I mean, I really want to work my brand. I want to work my brand like in tons of different areas, just more merchandise and start building on. By the time when I get to the belt, you know, I have that big fan base and just everyone kind of supporting me and, you know, sponsors and just getting better and as a whole having a lot of peace in my life. You know, I'm trying to be drama free a little bit, but I think I attract that maybe, I'm not sure. And yeah, I just spend lots of time with my daughter. We just bought a horse, so take some time horseback riding and travel when I can.
What's the horse's name?
Apollo.
Nice. What's the dog's name?
Mac.
Mac.
Yeah.
And last one, keys to the victory. What needs to happen to make sure you get your arm raised on Saturday?
I think just composure. You know, if I stay focused in there, I think I'll be able to beat Amanda in all areas.
Best of luck on Saturday.
Thank you.
Good.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
Santiago, how you doing? So you were part of the Ultimate Fighter Brazil season 2, right? That was 11 years. I mean, was it 2013? I think it was, right? So fast forward 11 years. You've been around for a long time, like a long time. You've outlasted a lot of people that came in off that season, off of other Ultimate Fighter seasons and everything. What's your best memory of these last 11 or so years?
Was so good, the experience to be part of the Ultimate Fighter. Inside the house was amazing. I have a lot of good experience there. A lot of tough moments because I did 4 fights in 40 days, but 3 of that I was in maybe 21 days, and these are good, very good memories. And, this is 12 years with the 25 on UFC. Man, this is a long road and super happy, super happy to still continue fighting in the high level in the world, represent my country, my people, the people believing in me. Years ago when I started with this dream, I go to Brazil with nothing, and it's like a very crazy imagine that Argentinian guy or other guy from Latin America being UFC, On that time, was pretty far thinking on that. And we did the way we building that way, they don't exist. And now have a new generation, the guys from Argentina coming. Sport is growing in all part of the world for sure, but also in Argentina too. I'm very happy to help to growing, the sport there on that area and can continue fighting on the highest level in the world.
And you actually beat Leandro Santos in that season, but you couldn't go to the final because I think you injured your hand in that one. Right?
I broke my arm, yes.
Yeah, and he went on to win.
In 10 parts,
yeah. He went on to win. I mean, he hasn't fought in 2022. Does it burn you a little bit? You didn't get another shot at him just to prove that you were the real winner.
The what? You mean?
Like, did they ever bother you? You didn't get another shot at Leandro, kind of like to prove like I'm the one that really won that that season.
No, in the Ultimate Fighter, I won all the fight. The 4 fight I won. I finished 2. I won the bonus, the best fight of the season, best knockout of the season. And Leonardo Santos, who the guy won the season, was lost for me. And I'm pretty, UFC they won all the fight. They give me good contract. And that's it. That passed. What happened in my last fight? I broke my arm, my radio. At 2 minutes the first round, I fight whole fight with my arm broken. I continue punching. I broke my arm in 10 parts. The radio, and I have a plate and screws here. But that's another thing they pretty happy with me because it's not easy. I saw it right in the moment I felt that I broke my arm, and I continued forward. I continue fighting. I won the fight, and that's another good experience I take from that moment. Now we continue here fighting, right? Fighting for other goals, continue looking forward, for different objectives.
And you got the main event at home. Like, that was massive fight against Neil Magny.
Yeah,
what was that experience like? And where do you rank that in your run with the UFC so far?
No, it was so good, man. For so many years, always fighting like, in the house, the other people, and bring the company to Argentina was a dream. Was everything perfect. I finished him with a beautiful knockout, it's a good fight. I really enjoyed the whole week, the interviews, the everything. I'm super happy with that, and I wish we can do it again. I always talking with the company, with the bosses about that, because I think that's very, very important to grow in the sport there, and also we have more talent now. This is a good moment to back to Argentina.
Do you like to try to go back, try to push him? Maybe win the fight this weekend, get on the microphone in front of everybody, like, hey, Dana, what's up?
Why not? Yes. Yeah,
bring it back. I'm assuming you'd like the main event, that one as well.
Yeah, for sure.
There you go. And finally, what's your message for Argentina? Because es tu país, tu lugar, ¿verdad? ¿Qué es tu mensaje para ellos, para muchachos y mujeres también que quieren entrar a pelear también?
Siempre mi mensaje fue el mismo, ¿no? Siempre dije que la gente se la juegue por lo que quiere y que lo haga como pueda, ¿no? Porque fue un poco lo que yo hice, lo hice como pude. En su momento no tenía recursos, mucha gente ya conoce mi historia, pero yo me fui a Brasil sin nada, sin conocer a nadie, sin dinero, y pasé mucha adversidad, es verdad, pero al mismo tiempo todo eso, hoy por hoy agradezco porque me formó como persona, me ayudó mucho, y también me hizo crecer mucho como persona. Y por suerte muchas cosas se fueron dando, ¿no? Se alcanzaron varios objetivos, entonces siempre digo, si yo lo hice, no soy ni más ni menos que nadie. Así que sea lo que sea pelear o sea cualquier otro objetivo en la vida, que vayan atrás de él y que realmente no se esfuercen por sus sueños, porque cuando uno lo deja todo y realmente sale de su zona de confort, las cosas llegan. Gracias, hermano.
Santiago. The message for everybody. He just asked, what message would you give to people they're inspired by your journey? And the message is, be yourself, do your thing, and do not stop at all. Just continue to power through whatever you need to do, whether it's in fighting or anything else in life. Like you may not have all the tools, you may not have everything that you need, but just continue to do it. Because if I did it with nothing. I'm no special. I'm no better or worse than anybody. If you have a dream and if you want to achieve it, you continue to power through and you do everything that you need in your power to do it, because that's the one thing that I would tell people. I didn't have everything that I could, but I did everything with everything that I had.
Santiago, aquí a tu izquierda. Santiago, vienes de una racha de 2 derrotas sucesivas. ¿Qué tanta presión te pone eso previo a este combate?
About the pressure that you may feel coming from 2 straight losses.
La verdad que no es una situación cómoda, pero yo tomo cada pelea como una pelea en sí. La verdad que estoy enfocado en la pelea y en lo que tengo que hacer, y siempre salgo a buscar el resultado, no a buscar la victoria. La verdad que si bien mi última pelea fue una decisión dividida que creo que la gané, al igual que mi equipo, terminó siendo una derrota que obviamente molesta, deja esa sensación amarga, pero nada, hoy por hoy estamos enfocados en el próximo paso, ¿no? En lo que hay que dar este sábado. El campamento fue espectacular, la verdad que estoy realmente preparado para salir, pelear bien, acabar con la pelea, ganar de una manera espectacular y encarar este 2025 con una buena actividad dentro del octágono.
It's not a comfortable situation, obviously, coming out of that. I am coming from a split decision that I think that I want to fight. I think many people share the thought too. The team feels as well, but it's about what's coming up next. Had a great camp, feeling good, and listen, I'm gonna go into this fight more ready than ever, and ready to finish the fight, to bring the fight to me, to actually look for a fight throughout, and finish this fight and have a great 2025, full wins.
Decía tu oponente que para él cualquier rival pues tiene el mismo calibre, que cuando le dijeron Ponzinibbio ni siquiera lo pensó, dijo sí porque es pues su profesión. ¿Tú cómo lo tomaste? ¿Tú sí analizaste al rival o igual solo tomaste la pelea?
Whenever he got the fight, basically said, "Listen, it's Ponzinibbio. Let's do this. It's my job to be here, and let's take on the fight." What did you feel when they actually said, "This is your opponent"?
Lo mismo. La verdad que a veces uno busca ciertas peleas en la compañía cuando tiene la oportunidad de hacerlo, y otras veces es también lo que la compañía dispone, y es nuestro trabajo aceptar los retos y prepararse. Y fue lo que pasó, ¿no? Ese nombre lo trajo la compañía, bienvenido sea. La verdad que contento por enfrentarlo en esta pelea coestelar y poder hacer un buen show.
Same thing as him. I mean, sometimes you can choose your fights, and you want to fight somebody to actually get something accomplished in this company. But again, you're an employee of this company, and whatever the company says, you're going to take it. Listen, very good, and very happy I had the opportunity to be in a co-main, and happy to put on a show.
La última de mi parte, Santiago. Lionel Messi viene la próxima semana a jugar un partido amistoso aquí a Las Vegas. Como argentinos, ¿has tenido comunicación con él, con su equipo? ¿Planeas reunirte con él?
Next week, Messi's in town to actually play a soccer match here in Las Vegas, and someone from Argentina that has a connection with Messi. Do you want to go see him? Do you want to watch him? Do you want to talk to him?
Sí, la verdad que es una inspiración ahí como argentino tener ahí a Messi. Es la verdad que lo que él ha logrado en el deporte es increíble, y como persona, ¿no? Tan humilde y todo. La verdad que sí, estaría muy bueno poder juntarse con él ahora cuando vuelva para Miami. Y la verdad que nada, como dije, es una inspiración tenerlo ahí con la bandera.
He's an inspiration to all of us. I mean, you think about what he's done on the global stage. It's just, it's amazing. Obviously, it would be great. It'd be soccer or otherwise for the inspiration. I'd love to actually get together with him when he goes back to Miami, just to show that appreciation for what he's done with the far flag.
You've been doing the commentary, so I'm sure you see a lot of fighters when they had their fights. When you got this name, were you familiar with Carlston, and what do you think of him? Where is he dangerous?
Yes. I saw a lot of fights. I have 10 years doing the broadcasting, and yes, I know when they say I know everybody, and especially my division. I always broadcasting, and I put a lot of attention on my division. And yes, I know this guy. I see the fights. He's good, man. He's talented. He's tough guy. We can see him fight like a Wells. I remember that fight where he's coming 4 victories in a row and smash him for 2 rounds, and he go and submit in the 3rd round. You can see there the mentality of this guy. He's tough. I know that. And he got great submission. Go isometric. Good hurt. But the point is here is for me. To be honest, I don't care too much about my opponents. Of course, we analyze, we working on what is good, to be prepared for that. But the focus is myself, man, what I can do it. And I know I can finish everybody 170 pounds. And I'm happy to this opportunity. I'm going to do this Saturday.
And what do you think a win for him does for you in the division?
What do you mean?
Yeah, what does this win do you think is a help maybe propel you, or is this just getting back into the win column? What does the win do for you?
I think that's great, man. There's a co-main event, first card of the year, a great victory over him. They're going to give me the opportunity to be active this year and continue growing, My dream for this year is to be active, make 3-4 fights if I can dream, this year, and for sure have a good victory over him in the first card of the year. They're going to help me to be that active.
And I know you want to stay active. There was a couple years you lost when you were dealing with the health issues.
Right.
So is it now a matter of you want to stay active because you
Yes.
have the commentary gig,
Yes.
you have things, you have your future kind of set up for you, but is the drive still right now fight first, commentary second?
Yeah, but still I feel pretty good, in the gym. Of course, was not easy back from that sickness, the old infection, all the problems that I had was pretty complicated problems, they find another problems after 8 months. They take too much to recovery. And to be honest, I felt on a couple of fights I did after that my body is not 100%, but for sure, I'm dreaming with a big champion on the world, and I know that one of the best of this division. They have everything to make this done, but life is life, When they say the people here, it is what it is, and they have a couple of split decisions. They're not happy. They have a couple of problems, but I'm still competitive. Nobody smash me. Nobody, take me in UFC and punch me or control me for 10, 15 minutes. The fight I lost was a split decision, or can be a lucky punch, but nothing like more than that. I feel that I am competitive on this point of my career. I continue fighting, man. I want to continue fighting. Of course, I would love the work on the TV. I continue doing that, broadcasting. But my main thing is, continue fighting. And what you say, I lost too much time, and this terrible feeling, but because the only you can recover on the life is the time. And I know there's more close to the end, for sure, than that years. Yeah. And I want to be active,
And do you feel that the commentary has improved your fighting?
Yeah, that helps because you study a lot of fights, special different weights. Yeah, you put more attention. We always watching fights, right? But I really like to study, and we do with all weights, and this help you in one point for sure. That helps a little bit.
And then last for me, your keys to the victory. What needs to happen to make sure you get your arm raised on Saturday?
No, they're gonna prove again they be competitive, and I can be one of the best in the world in this division, and that's the right step they need to do to start this 25 and continue moving forward, taking more fights and taking more victories.
Best of luck on Saturday.
Thank you, buddy. Thank you guys. Have a great day.
degenerate shit. I walked in. We'll talk about this later. They're talking about
that other stuff.
Yeah, what is
that non-existent?
What, football? Yeah. Is it American football or like English, like European football? Never know what that's soccer. I never know with you like half, but I've been talking to people from the Netherlands and like Indonesia and India. Like who's from the Netherlands? Who?
No, make it mad. Call it soccer.
Oh, okay. Fuck it, soccer.
I've been indoctrinated by you lot. Now I'm calling it soccer as well.
Oh, oh, you've been poisoned.
Yeah, I've been poisoned. American colonialism is that.
It's what we do. You guys were the best, but we've taken over.
Yeah, Canada and Greenland soon to be yours.
Fuck. I'm talking to Canadians about that. They're like, this is getting weird. I'm like, yeah, you guys are already a little America, so like.
We'll leave that there. So, speaking of international relations, Russian spies in the lead up to this fight. I mean, I know we took it back, but talk to me about the saga of Kopylov and his Russian spies that we eventually had to maybe retract.
Yeah, so I thought he was in fact evil giant Russian Chase Hooper, but he's just giant Russian Chase Hooper. He's not actually evil. Actually seems to be pretty nice. But yeah, unfortunately, I always say coincidences are bullshit, but yeah, man, like 3 random things happened to be happening simultaneously that made this really awkward. So very rarely am I wrong, but I will admit that I'm wrong when I am, and like I was wrong. I apologize. Like my bad, Russian Chase Hooper. But yeah, like so who's Johnny Walker fighting?
Bogdan Gustav.
Yeah, so he's usually at our gym. But I guess Johnny Walker got here first, so he's like, okay, I'll train at Syndicate. Fine, he's Russian, whatever. I guess his corners came out before him, and he was like, no, go to Extreme. That's where he usually trains. There's 85ers there for you. So they came in. Those were the 2 Russians. I'm like, okay, cool, whatever, no problem. So I guess when he got into town, Kopylov came in roughly the same time. So when he got in, his teammates left to go train with him at Syndicate. And I didn't know that. I didn't know where his corners. So I'm just like, okay, Russians are gone, cool. And then like a day later, like, oh, Kopylov's in town. I'm like, oh, also cool, whatever. Like no issue. I got no beef with him. And then over the holidays, I see people like, oh shit, you see this? It's them at the PI with Kopylov. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? What is this about? Like that's pretty weird. That's pretty scummy. And come to turn out, so you have him being at a Syndicate, him flying into town, and then over the holidays, everywhere was closed, right? So Syndicate was closed too, and they're at Syndicate, so they went to the PI, both at the same gym, but training separately, but they're like, there's nowhere to train, so with the PI. So it's awkward, my bad. Like I was, like it's like fucking conspiracy theories over here. I'm like, well, who does this? I was shocked, like who does, I didn't know we still did this. I thought this died years ago, so I was like, what is happening right now? It's very strange. So my bad, I was wrong. It happens.
Because you saw him, right, and got to say to him,
yeah.
Was he kind of like, what?
He speaks no English. So that went well. Like, so I'm talking to the guy Johnny's fighting. He explains it to me. I'm like, oh shit, that makes more sense. We kind of hashed out like what happened. So as we're doing that in the PI locker room, Kopylov happens to walk in. And I'm like, oh shit, Roman Kopylov. And I'm like, do you speak English? And he's like, no. So I'm like, okay, hold on. So I was trying to figure out what to say. I think it was one of the Nurmagomedovs was there. I think, who's this really small one?
Umar?
I think it was Umar, actually. He was like, I'll translate. I was like trying to talk to Kopylov. We're doing hand signals. Umar, it's like, I'll translate for you. It's fine. So, like, thanks. I believe it was Umar. Thanks to Umar, we figured out what happened. And I apologize. I'm like, my bad, man. Like, I'll clear it up. Like, I really am sorry. I just thought it was super fucking weird. He's like, no, everyone mad at me, brother. I'm not a bad guy. I was like, no, you're not evil Russian Chase Hooper. You're just Russian Chase Hooper. I'm sorry. I felt bad. I was like, fuck, my bad.
In your career, have you ever, because we do hear those stories, right, of people sending guys, especially in boxing, you hear about spies and camps. Have you ever seen anything like that? Like at Extreme, it's a big gym, guys come through. Have you ever seen someone been like,
oh, yes. Yeah. Extreme's had a problem with this before, to where like we've had to crack down on who the fuck's allowed in the gym when people like really big fights in camp, because some weird shit has gone down, and like we're just like, okay, like it's one of those things to where Extreme is one of the most awesome gyms. We have open door policy. Like, like we want to train, come train. But we've had to kind of cut back on like who we allow in at what times, because that shit does happen. So like you've seen it, but I was like, okay, whatever. But it's just shocking that it would happen to me. I guess I felt special. I thought it wouldn't happen to me. I'm like, who does that? Like, yeah. So that's what caught me off guard.
Is it good to be kickstarting a year off with a fight on the first event, or does it suck not to be able to celebrate Christmas and New Year's properly?
Man, I am have such a weird childhood that I don't really celebrate Christmas and New Year's anymore. Like, I learned a long time ago, you don't do holidays. So I'm not a holiday person. So the food aspect of it's been fine. I've been dialed in. So after I hurt my hamstring, I really just started honing in on my diet because I'm 37. I turned 37 after that fight. I still feel great, but man, your body kind of starts to change in weird ways. I still do great in the practice room, but I feel like shit when I go home. So I've really had to change my diet and be more aware of my recovery. And my girlfriend, the PI staff, the S&C staff, all that, the PTs, they've all really got me honing in on my recovery a lot more. So my diet's been clean for 8 months. I've been on a clean diet for 8 months now. It's been pretty crazy. I feel great. So the Christmas festivities and food and shit, I don't care about. New Year's, I don't really care about. I don't do anything. I don't like celebrating. I don't even celebrate my own birthday. So that's fine. I'm just glad I get to fight. 8 months off is one of those nightmare scenarios for me, especially 8 months off because you keep getting hurt. So I'm just happy to be able to fight. I didn't want to wait until March or April to fight. I do hate fighting in the cold, but I was screw it. I'll be a big boy. I'll take care of it. I just wanted to fight.
Yeah. And I know that you and Sean Strickland had a bit of a friendship divorce there, but it seems like you guys are back on the same page. Is that just down to brothers arguing and you guys kind of fall out and then make friends again over and over?
Understand that I've known Sean Strickland longer than most people. I've known Sean, going on 10 years now. So it's always funny when people are oh, forget, get over it. I'm you guys know the caricature of Sean. All right? I've been in this for 10 years now. And there are times to where I've debated hitting him with a brick. Not even, I don't even say this. I'm bro, I'm going to hit you with a fucking brick. I don't care, where it goes. And this time led to a fist fight as well. And we were really about to throw down. And the entire gym is are you guys really doing this? And we're about to actually throw down. And I'm threatening to cripple him before he fights Rikus. I will fucking cripple you. And so we get out of hand. But I've known Sean for a long time. So we do have our own issues. And there's shit we will still need to discuss and talk about and you kind of put everything up front. But right now, this fight's important to me. I can't lose 2 in a row. I can't. I really can't. Especially after the last fights where I thought I had it. For my own mental well-being, it's really hard to lose 2 in a row. So I need to focus on this. And he's going out there to fight for a UFC title and get his belt back. We don't have time to focus on shit that's not conducive to the goal. One of my favorite sayings ever is singularity of purpose. Everything we have to do right now has to be with the sole purpose of achieving this next goal. So we'll get along fine. We'll be fine for now. We figured it out. We're kind of just moving past it. We'll address it in the future. At the end of the day, I'm always going to be pulling for him. I want him to fucking succeed. I want him to succeed in the cage. I want him to succeed in life. Even when the times where I'm just bro, I can't fucking stand you. But that's how it is. My actual biological brother, I can't stand most of the time. So I'm no real difference. It's whatever. We'll be fine. We'll figure it out later. But we've got jobs to do right now. So we're trying to focus on doing the job.
If you're shouting, "I'm going to cripple you" at him, what is he shouting back?
Oh, he's fucking terrible. He's oh, God, what did he say? He said something that pissed me off. What did he say? I'm not going to go into it, but it came down to I'm going to cripple. I'm going to cripple you. And then he's we were oh, fuck, let's go fight right now. We're getting ready to go fight. And people were are we doing this right now? It's regular business hours. And you guys are out here being crazy. Yeah. So we.
Kids jiu-jitsu class just walking past.
Not far off. It's just, they're just just going on. Yeah. So we have our own issues to deal with. But like I said, we've got even more important than that. We've got futures to think about. And right now, both of our futures depend on, our being able to do our job. So let's focus on doing our job. We'll fucking sing Kumbaya later and figure it out.
Chris, with Roman fighting 2 of your teammates, have you had him on your radar? I'm gonna fight this dude at some point.
No, I haven't cared. I just didn't care. I was all right. It's weird, man. I very rarely get that invested in people who how do you beat a teammate and done something fucking assholery? I'd be okay, deal, now you're a target. But nah, man, he fought Puna, he fought Caesar. Caesar fight was really close, the Puna fight. is what it was. But like, he's never been a problem. So it's like, cool, like dude can fight. He won. Like, good job. I very rarely will be mad at somebody for beating someone in a fair fight. I'm like, it's fine, man. Like, I get it. Like, it's cool. Like, he went out there, he fought a good fight. It was cool. It wasn't like there was no what I consider like bitch activity. Like, no, you want to fight, bro. Like, it's fine. Like, I'm not mad about it. It's not like, oh, I'm not going to seek vengeance. Like, no, you didn't do anything worthy of vengeance. Like, you just want to fight. Like, good for you. I'm not fucking mad.
With that being said, do you foresee him shooting on you and kind of taking his route that he was fighting Caesar?
I mean, cool. I don't know. I think he may, but I think I'm a better wrestler. And like, here's the thing, guys. Like, if you're not actively a wrestler, if you didn't grow up wrestling is exceedingly tiring. Like, to wrestle somebody, and to offensively wrestle somebody, it's very tiring. Like, I'm very good at wrestling. I pride myself on it. I've been in one of the best wrestling gyms in the U.S. for 5 years now. I've been wrestling for the last, I don't know how many years. I'm really good at wrestling. I don't know why I don't wrestle in fights. I think I just enjoy punching people. Like, I really have this weird pride thing to where, like, my pride as like a boxer overrides my common sense sometimes. But I'm very good at wrestling. Like, I'm not afraid to wrestle. I don't think you can take me down. If you can't take me down, it's fine. I don't care. I can get up. Like, you're not going to submit me. You're not going to hold me down. Like, if you take me down, like, it happens. Like, I think one of the early things in my career, I really was afraid of getting taken down. I could defend pretty decently. But when I got taken down, I was like, damn, I got taken down. Now what? If you take me down now, I'm like, okay, cool. But like, you can't hold me here, and I'm going to get up. You can take me down again. I'm still going to keep getting up. And I've trained this for years. So every time I do it, it doesn't cost me anything. But it's going to cost you a lot to hold me down and keep shooting and shooting and shooting. So if he tries to wrestle, I am unprofessional as hell. I apologize. Like, my non-great ringtone there. But yeah, man, I just don't think it's going to be the effective game as well as Caesar. Caesar's a kickboxer. Like, obviously, he's been training MMA for a bit, but I've got a very different set of skills than Caesar. So if he wants to try, it's fine. But I mean, I think it's a horrible idea.
Obviously, you were asked a million times about Sean and DDP's first fight. Now that fight's over and now that they're fighting again, obviously you're going to be picking Sean. But how do you see that fight kind of playing out?
Two coked out chimpanzees in a phone booth, man. Like, that's the Dricus fight. Like, I think honestly, that's just how Dricus fights. It's like what do you do? Like, God, it's so funny because like everyone I know has ever always clowned on Dricus the way he fights. She's like, it's fucking wild. But you know what? God damn, it's effective. It's people always ask like, how is he doing this? And I tell people like, it's like trying to learn to tango, but your partner doesn't know the moves. So you're like, what's happening? You're like, he's just doing shit that's not on beat. He doesn't know the moves. He didn't read the manual. And that's how it's hard to fight Dricus. You don't really know what he's doing. So I just want to see this. Like, as a fan of the sport, I am kind of like burnt out on the sport a lot. Like, as a fighter, I love it. I love fighting. I don't really watch fights as much as I used to. But as a fan of the sport, even without my personal investment in it, I really just want to see this play out because it's such an awkward clash of two really awkward, probably the two most awkward people in the division fighting each other. So like, there's a lot to take away from that. It's like the short bus special. Like, I'm very excited. Am I wrong though? Like, Sean is awkward as fuck. Like, Sean is awkward as fuck to fight. That's why people struggle to fight him when you like run into each other for the first time. You're like, what is this? Like, I don't know what this is. And for as awkward as Sean is, Dricus is like 4 times worse, but in a different way. So like, the two most awkward dudes in the division happen to be really good at fighting. So I just want to see it.
How was Thailand?
I fucking loved it, man. I fucking love Thailand. I'm actually planning on moving in March. So we're gonna make the move to Thailand. So I'll live out there for a year or two. I'll still come back to Extreme to finish do my camps and finish my camps and split them there. But I fell in love with it, man. I actually fucking love Thailand. So thinking about March, we get everything settled. Apparently, getting a visa and a passport for a 1-year-old is it is work. Like, oh man. Good job, Vegas. I guess like kids get stolen here a decent amount. So like, you got to jump through hoops to get a kid in Vegas a passport and a visa. But hopefully we get everything knocked out. We got a tentative date for March to make the move, but I'm excited for it.
And finally, did you fight on top of a strip club?
I have fought on top of strip clubs. Like if you look at the fuck was the name of that show? It used to be called Ice. in Ohio. It was on top of a strip club. Like, yeah, it's crazy. It's like a mall parking lot on top of a strip club. It's crazy. Was that Ice? I don't know. There was somewhere. Ice was on top of something too, but I don't know what. But I fought in those random places. I fought in bars. I remember when I was young, I fought in bars, and the cage was an actual chain link fence. Like the gray metal chain link with like PVC on the bottom and like foam pad. I'm like, oh shit, okay. I have fought in the most random places, like Sinaloa, Mexico. I was in like a silo. It was like a refurbished grain silo. I was like, what is this? But like, okay, cool, whatever. I have fought everywhere under the sun. Like some places to where I was like, I don't know how we're here. I don't know how you all have electricity here. I have fought in like barns in the middle of nowhere. Like I am a road warrior through and through, man. I am just clumsy as shit today. It's fine. I don't even care. I've been doing a lot of interviews today. I'm tired. I'm sorry, but yeah, I've been everywhere, man. It's just what I do, but it's fun. I got some weird scars and stories to tell, so it's fun.
Over here, Chris.
Where am I looking at?
Sorry.
Oh, there you are.
I know you just said you're kind of burnt out on fighting. You don't really watch it anymore. It's been a little over 5 years, I think, since you left the PFL to come to the UFC. They've been in the news recently. They had some success on their last card. But it seems like after their acquisition of Bellator, there may be some drama over there. Are you paying attention to what's happening over there and other organizations like the GFL is supposedly going to be starting? And just your thoughts on what's going on with the PFL and other organizations trying to compete with the UFC, and if that's a good thing for the sport or a bad thing for the sport?
That's a lot. All right, we'll break that down piece by piece. Stay with me here. Yeah, see, right? It's something. It's not just fucking me. Like, yeah, all right. Fucking ghosts and spiders and shit. But all right, so PFL. I have not really paid that much attention, but I kind of like dipped in and out because I have a lot of friends who fight for PFL and Bellator. You know, like Johnny Eblin's like, I don't know what's happening right now. Fabian Edwards, Jason Jackson, whatnot. So I've got friends and stuff who are like in these organizations. So I've never run a business, all right? Like contrary to what my like tax statements say. I would never like actively like run a business. It's incrimination. No, I'm joking. But I've never like run a business on that caliber, right? Like I've never, like there's something for being a business for yourself and then running a company that big. So I have ideas about what they could be hoping to do, but I don't know what their ultimate game plan is with the Bellator merger and acquisition with the way it's been done now. I have to assume a company with that much money involved that there's a plan in mind. I just don't know what it is. I'm like, you know what? Smarter people than me have this job. Figure it out. I mean, I would have done it differently. Do you remember Strikeforce Challenger series? Dude, I'm going to go into this. I think about this in the shower a lot. I'm going to stay with me here. If I had PFL and I bought Bellator, I would not have melted Bellator. They're like silly melting Bellator. Like, no. What you do is you run PFL as your Super Bowl. There's no need to operate both shows simultaneously. So I turn them into 3 segments. We have PFL Challengers, which name was my idea. Like Ask Ray Cepho, that was my name idea. Thank you. I stole it from Strikeforce Challengers, but whatever. So you run PFL Challengers. The winner in each weight class gets the champion of that gets entered into a tournament. Cool, done. You have a reason to have fights throughout the year. They're smaller cards. You don't have to pay as much, whatever. But keeps people saying, "Oh shit, PFL." Bellator is where everyone fights. Everyone fights in Bellator. There's no PFL fighters besides the PFL challenger fighters. Those are the only true PFL fighters. Bellator, everyone fights in Bellator. And the top guys in those brackets, at the end of the year, the top ranked guys go into the PFL tournament. The PFL tournament is just a Super Bowl of the year. It comes around once a year. At that thing, you have the top guys in those divisions fight. There's no playoff season. There's no earning points. You did that during the year. Because I think PFL, in my eyes, PFL's biggest strength and its weakness is this like tournament structure and like the point system. People are like, I don't care. I just want to see people fight. So you have Bellator for that. Have everybody fight in Bellator. Boom. Winners go to PFL. The tournament at the end of the year. Problem solved. That's what I would have done. What they're doing, I have no idea. Who knows? GFL, I just heard about GFL last week. I'm like, what is this? I don't follow fighting at all, mind you, except for like random things that pop up. So I have no idea what's happening. I saw what's her name? A few people I know got signed. I'm like, okay, cool. I am a believer in that there should be other organizations, big organizations, I don't really see anybody at this point as direct competition to the UFC. Like, you've become a juggernaut at this time, so I don't really see them as direct competition, but that's fine. You don't have direct competition to the NFL. Like, it's just not how it works. At the same time, there are leagues that you can build, like, bigger, not so much feeder leagues. You got like LFA and stuff like that, like Fury, that are feeder leagues. But you need big organizations. But feeder leagues to UFC is a very big jump. For 90% of the roster, that's a massive fucking jump. People are like, oh, you were LFA or Fury champion, blah, blah, blah. You go to UFC and get smashed. It's a very big talent jump. So you need that next step between there. And I think that's what these other leagues should be. Like, don't try to replace the UFC. You're trying to beat a business model that cost a lot of lost money to figure out. So unless you're willing to go into the hole really, really, really hard, because UFC was in a hole for a long time, you guys know. So, but they spent the time and the effort and the sacrifice to figure that out. So, like, don't try to jump to that. It doesn't work. That's never worked anywhere. Like, it's just in any field, you can't just jump in that position, throw money at it. Like, we remember Elite XC and all the boom back in the day. People threw money at it. Like, yeah, we just copy the model, put money into it. Doesn't work that way. So I think those leagues will be great. They should serve a purpose. Just stop trying to be number one, because that's a losing venture at this point. Like, find a niche and make your money there, make your market there. And I think that's where it could be, that step between LFA and Fury and CS and UFC. Like, no, you need that level there.
I think you undersold yourself as a businessman based on that response. I think you should maybe give Don Davis a call.
I would spend everything on cocaine and strippers. Like, know thyself. Like, there's a reason why I don't have power. Like, I tell people, like, the universe knows me better than me. There's a reason why. If I was 6'1", like, people would be fucking miserable. I'd be a tyrant. But so I was made 5'10". Like, the universe knows me and it keeps me in check.
When you talk about the GFL, this one of the ideas that they're also trying, and I don't know the full details, but they're trying to do this 50-50 rev share. So you as a fighter, one, you want to have these other organizations, but you kind of probably want that organization to work, to maybe change the overall, I guess.
Yeah.
Work.
So here's the thing: like, fighters advocating for getting paid less is ridiculous. I always want to be paid more, but at the same time, like 50-50 rev share for like. That's going to be interesting to do. Well, I know other, what's the NFL make? Like, what is their thing?
There's like 51%, I think.
Yeah, so that's when you have, the issue becomes a 50-50 rep share means nothing when you make no money. And that's like, so 50% of nothing is still like
Zero.
nothing. Like, yeah, it's still nothing. So I understand and I support like that mentality, but you can't, a startup is not going to do that. What numbers is, like, realistically, I want GFL to succeed. I always think there should be more shows. I think it's better for everybody. But realistically, what numbers are they going to pull? Yeah. Like, it's going to be starting out. There's going to be, let's say they said they're around for 10 years. Those first 5 years, what are they going to make? Like, what are you giving 50% of? How much does PFL make, honestly? Like, they've got great backers, so like that's fine. But like, it's hard starting out, man. PFL is like having to grind through the hardships to get there, and they're starting to make headway. Finally, I think they said their last fight they made a decent profit. They're turning headway. It took them a lot of time, a lot of effort. So you're gonna start out with fight one with 50% rep. It's just not realistic. Like, I fucking love the idea of it, like in theory, but in practice, I just don't see how that works until you're established. Unfortunately, in order to be established, what happens? You got to step on people. So it's like fighting's, I don't know the ins and outs of it, but I understand that it's got to be a cutthroat business, because until the profit margins are big and until they're like UFC profit margins, they're very fucking thin profit margins.
Yeah. And I think we already hear like the PFL, I think next year their tournament is going to be 500,000 as opposed to $1 million. I could be quoting the wrong number. There's smarter reporters.
Oh, is it
so
500,000?
that's even changing as well.
Oh, inflation. Yeah, you guys wanted tariffs. Yeah. Look at that now. Like, yeah, fucking half.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, right. That's right. I went there.
All right. Well, speaking of funner things, when you watch film on this, did you besides studying Kopylov, did you also watch footage on Hooper for this one?
Oh God, just giant chase. It's so funny because like I look at Kopylov and I'm like, okay, be mad at him. I'm like, man, Chase Hooper got big. And it's just weird. But it's funny, man. It's like he's like Chase Hooper's final form, and it's terrifying. Like, yeah, like all right. So honestly, like we should. I want Chase Hooper monitored because I've never seen him and Kopylov in the same place at the same time. So how do I know that Chase Hooper's real? How do I know that Roman Kopylov? Like which one is like it's like Batman? Which one is the real person? Which one is the mask? Oh God, no, he's man. You know what? Roman is actually the final form because like there is Ben Askren in there, or maybe Ben. I don't know, man. It's fucking weird. Like I've never seen them all together, so I've got questions.
You mentioned a little bit about the health and how you're recovering. You know, you had the hamstring after the fight, and then you broke the foot, I believe. How has the process been healing and waiting to try to really get back in there? And are you feeling 100% going into this?
Yeah, man, it's been nice. Big part of the process, apparently. I tore my hamstring. I started eating a shit ton of red meat. Like I was eating like 2 pounds of red meat a day, and apparently that does wonders for your recovery. Like I was supposed to, they said probably 6 months, 6 to 8 months of like recovery for the hamstring. I was cleared to fight in 4. So one of my greatest things in life about me is that I heal really fast. Like I should have been killed a few times in my life to kind of pull through. I'm very lucky, and I heal from injury really fast. The PI thinks it's hilarious. They're just like, I told them I heal fast. And over the years, they're like, yeah, you really do heal faster than normal. So I feel good going into it, especially now that I've had to spend a lot more time focused on like the way I recover. I skipped recovery my entire career. I just didn't believe in it. I was like, no, be a man. I'm a strong, tough man. I don't need to recover. I recover by sleeping. And that's great in your 20s. Even in your early 30s, that's great. But like once you hit 35, shit starts getting weird to where you're like, all right, like, you know. And now I feel, it's weird. I feel great in training. I can fight people. I can beat up people in their 20s. You know, you got guys, you know, top 15 fighters I can fucking go toe-to-toe with and feel great. But I sleep. If I go to bed and I sleep wrong in a weird position, I wake up crippled for a day. So like it's very strange. So like luckily as a fighter, my body's held up really well, and I'm grateful for that. But like my quality of life has gone up since I started, taking better care of myself. My diet's been perfect. I've gotten on my supplementation. My nutrition's been great. I ice bath now, which I fucking hate. I do saunas, which I hate. I do hot tubs, which I hate slightly less, but still hate. I do the cryotherapy. I do red light. I do stretching and yoga and all this stuff. So I've had to definitely reinvest time into my body. But this is probably the first time in 2 years to where I walk around without. Everybody says before I walked like petrified wood, and it was a running joke in the gym. They're like, you walk in, you move like you're 70. I get on the mat and I'm fine, but like outside of those moments of training, I move like I'm 70. And this is the first time probably like the last 2-3 years to where I walk around on and off the mat feeling good, and I think that translates to better performance. Honestly, to where like. My shoulders are looser. I got back to punching easier. Like for a long time, my shoulders were really tight. I had like a weird impingement in my one of my shoulders that made it hard to throw punches and throw certain punches. Like I couldn't really right hook that well because it hurt me. It hurt me a lot actually to throw a right hook. It hurt really bad, and like that's gone now. I had like weird impingement in my left shoulder where I couldn't throw overhands for a long time. And like now we've gotten rid of that through the stretching and the PT and everything else to where I've got all my punches back, which is really nice. So. Learning to take care of myself in my 30s has been an interesting process, but I definitely feel better for it.
And I know I was doing some filming at Extreme when you were in your healing process, and I saw you taking part of the training of the other fighters. Was that something that was beneficial for you as well, or is it just a matter of Extreme and fighting so much in your life that even when you're injured, you could stay at home, but you instead wanted to give back and train? And did that help you to keep your mind right, and did it help you as a fighter to be there helping to coach?
Most definitely, man. Like I am a fighter who enjoys fighting. I always say most fighters don't enjoy fighting at all. Like people enjoy competing, people enjoy winning, but I enjoy fighting. I enjoy the fight. I enjoy the training. Like I like the act of like just fighting. So for me, not being able to do that's really hard, especially like it's really easy to fall into that despair to where you're sitting at home on the couch with a fucking box of cookies. You start ordering Uber Eats, which is like the freaking worst thing we've invented as a civilization. One of our biggest like markers for our downfall will be the invention of Uber Eats. Like we should never have done this. We've given too much power to like the worst things. Uber Eats is bad. So it's too easy to fall into that habit of like, I'm just going to sit here in my darkness and wallow. And I'm somebody who had a history of like, I wallowed, I dwelled on things. But being hurt, we're like, hey, we can't do the things we want. Get in the gym, move around, do what you can. And then even when I can't train, like, there are other people fighting. You have teammates. Like, fighting is not a singular sport. Like, you have teammates. There are people who help you who are fighting. There are people who are coming up who can't do shit for you, but they're still trying to learn. Like, if you can do something, do something. You're better off being, it's funny. Like, you see so many people at Extreme who are just there, not doing anything, or like just talking, helping. You're like, why? Because I can be at home doing nothing, or like, being in my head, or I can just be here, at least around you guys, where I'm not. If we're in a room full of crazy people, I'm a little bit less crazy. Like, if I'm at home by myself, I'm a psychopath. If I'm in a room full of crazy people, you're just in the group. So it's definitely good for you to be out of the house, in the gym, in those situations. So you don't, start ordering in, you don't start picking up alcohol, you don't start, falling into bad vices.
Last question. How do you get your arm raised on Saturday against giant Russian Chase Hooper?
Yeah, not giant evil Russian Chase Hooper, just giant Russian. Good job. Saturday, I get my hand raised by going out there. Like I've got. This is what, my 10th UFC fight, my 43rd pro fight, I think, pro MMA fight. I've got more experience than most people in this company as a fighter. I have fought really good kickboxers. I fought really good, and just fucking fighting. Like, take the fight to him, make him fight a fight, and see where it goes. Like, I got to stop worrying about being perfect. I got to stop trying to have everything be textbook. Honestly, Dricus has kind of opened my eyes a little bit to where I do give Dricus credit. The dude doesn't care how it looks so long as it wins. I've had an issue in the past of trying to be too perfect, and in that time when you're trying to be too perfect, you tend to overthink and you freeze. I always tell people who are coming up, like, oh, why can't I do this? I can hear you think. Like, if I can hear you thinking when we're in the round, that you're fucking up. And I think there's been a little bit just the pressure of being in the UFC, as being a ranked guy, fighting these people. I wanted everything to be perfect because I didn't want to fucking see some fat guy on fucking Twitter or Instagram like talking shit like, oh, you did this wrong. But now I realize, hey, fuck that guy. He doesn't matter. Like, he'll be dead before he's 40, whatever. So I don't care. Like, I gotta stop worrying about these things. And B, the thing is, like, yeah, it's not going to be perfect. You're going to fight. Like, I have beaten people who were having perfect fights that I still beat, that I fucking knocked out. Shit happens in a fight, all right? Like, you can't doubt yourself because you didn't do something perfect or things aren't going to plan. You can't lose focus. You can't be frustrated. And a big part of my training for the last couple of months has been, hey, accept that it's not going to be the fucking choreographed movie that you want it to be. It's a fucking fight. Like, be comfortable in that. So I've gotten back to being comfortable in that shootout, in those positions. There's been a lot of times the fights don't go your way, things are going bad. It's fine. That's just part of the fight. It's not over till it's over, as cliche as it sounds. So, go out there and fight to the last bell. And I think if I go out there, I fight every moment to the last bell, I win this fight.
Awesome. Best of luck on Saturday.
Thanks, guys. All right.